Now, it's the moment that India has been really waiting for, justice for Pahalgam. That wait seems to have been finally come to an end. 3 terrorists have been gunned down in Srinagar's Lidwas area during Operation Mahadev, a joint strike that was taken out by the Indian Army and the Jammu and Kashmir police. These men are suspected to be linked to the April 22nd Pahalgam terror attack, where 26 innocent tourists were killed in cold blood. The encounter took place in the dense forests of Dachigam terrain, which is quite tricky. In fact, it took 14 days of high surveillance of local intelligence and satellite intercepts to close in on them. At 11:30 a.m., teams from 24 Rashtriya Rifles and 4 Para moved in. Terrorists opened, in fact, the army there opened fire at those terrorists. It was crossfire that went on for a little while, but within hours, all 3 of them were neutralized. Among the dead, possibly, is Musa Fauji, alias Sulaiman Shah, a Pakistani Special Forces deserter turned Lashkar commander. That's the image that became the poster image of the Pahalgam attacks. He's believed to have orchestrated this Pahalgam attack and was said to be in hiding for months. And finally, we hear this man has been gunned down. From the site, troops recovered a US-made carbine, AK-47, 17 rifle grenades, and a jungle hideout stocked with food, cooking gear, proof that the terrorists there were camped for the long haul. They had everything that was ready and there, wanted to stick around for God knows how long. Either they couldn't get out of the border areas or they thought they probably were plotting another bigger attack. The army has now called them hardcore terrorists and has called this Operation Mahadev a mighty successful one. Now, if confirmed, this is a massive blow indeed to TRF, ISI terror networks, and possibly the man who led the April bloodbath, that Musa himself being gunned down, almost cripples the TRF at this point. So, big praise to the Indian Armed Forces for catching up with these terrorists. We are hoping these are indeed those terrorists who were behind the Pahalgam attacks. At least the man that you see on our screens there, we're blurring out the blood in the gory image. But that seems to be this very man, Musa, who was the mastermind behind Pahalgam. Let me quickly cut across to our guest who's joining us, in fact, a little more in detail to give us a little idea as to how big and successful this mission has been for us. Thanks very much, SP Vaid, former DGP, Jammu and Kashmir. We also have Major General retired V.K. Datta joining us for a little more, Savio Rodrigues, senior journalist and founder, editor-in-chief, Goa Chronicle. Of course, we also have advocate Nikhil Jain, political analyst. Thank you very much. Mr. Datta, if I could start with you first. In your view, we are looking at this jungle operation that was pulled off by the armed forces right on the day when the Indian Parliament was discussing Operation Sindoor. Here was a new operation that was spun out, Operation Mahadev, that seemed to have attacked right the same people that were likely behind Pahalgam. We're yet to get confirmation on this, whether the Pahalgam attackers indeed were the ones who were gunned down. What's the information you have?
Yeah, Nabila, for all the viewers and the nation, everybody was asking a question as to where are those 4 terrorists who were involved in killing of innocent tourists in Pahalgam. And to assure the nation, the special forces never rest, never forget. And since the day this dastardly attack was carried out in Pahalgam, our security forces were constantly hunting for these preparators of the Pahalgam dastardly attack. So the people who belong to the forces, whether it is the J&K police, the SOG, the CRPF, the armed forces, the Rashtriya Rifles, ask those people. They'll tell you the amount of effort they put in to get after these guys, hunt them down, and carry out raid after raid continuously since the 22nd of April until today, final culmination and gunning down of these people in Dachigam. And this I should put to rest the questions being asked by the opposition parties. Where are those chaps? Why have they not been gunned down? As the government mentioned, of Sandur is continuing. As far as we are concerned, it has just been paused as far as Pakistan is concerned. But we will strike as and when we get an input on any likely attack being planned by the Pakistanis, whether by proxies or by anybody else. So they should now realize that India is noting down every location, every gathering of any Lashkar-e-Taiba, Hizbul Mujahideen, whether in Pakistan or in POK. And it's just a question of one button away. They've seen our precision strikes, they've seen our capability, and I'm again warning them, don't try anything. You will be hit hard and you will be hit accurately wherever you are. So I hope that whosoever is left out now, whether the overground workers in J&K, they're all being traced and hunted down. And I'm very sure that the J&K government, the J&K police, and
Yeah,
the
in fact,
security forces.
we have Sir Ved. Mr. Ved is with us. He has extensive knowledge on the rough terrains across Jammu and Kashmir and the way and manner in which these terrorists are able to hide. Our armed forces, Mr. Ved, are very well equipped, knowing the terrain exactly well. Why did it take so many months? Musa Fauji, we hear, has been gunned down. We're yet to get an official confirmation. I'm not too sure if you have a little more information you could share with us. But why was it so hard to track these men despite years of being placed in the valley?
Good evening, Naveda. Good evening, my co-panelists and your viewers. This was the day everyone was waiting in the country, and the terrain. Just look at the photographs. Dachigam is a thick forest area. It's very near to Srinagar, but overlooking this mountain, Mahadev. On that mountain, the operation has been named Mahadev. uh, Look at the terrain as on your screen. Huge height, and these people were specially trained for mountain warfare and jungle warfare by Pakistan. One of them, Musa, was a special commando of the special forces of the Pakistan. See, they had been instructed not to get into contact with any civilian. It was so hard to track them down, and as far as technical inputs are concerned, it was again a very difficult job because they were absolutely completely avoiding use of mobile phones where we generally track them down. They were making use of satellite communication of the Chinese, some kind of that communication, which is very, very hard to track. So I think a lot of hard work went into this, generating precise information, pinpointed information. That was what actually was required for such a successful and an operation where you have absolutely no casualty on your side. And look at the way I think the credit goes to the people who generated this precise information, the intelligence, and then developed it observed it for many days. Look at the place they have this hideout. They could see movement of the security forces from all sides. The operation has been planned and executed. The credit goes to the commanders of the Indian Army and JNK Police and the CAPF who were involved. I must compliment. I think the nation was waiting for this moment, and I don't think there would have been a more appropriate moment than today when discussion on Operation Sindoor and Pahalgam was taking place in the parliament. What an appropriate timing. A lot of hard work. It might have taken 2 3 months, almost 3 months plus, but finally, what is important is we were able to eliminate them, and I
Yeah.
think credit
And look
goes
what
to
we
the people
found.
who were following.
What our armed forces found, sir, weapons, Chinese sat phones. They had enough food to keep them going
Yeah.
for months. They had bullets. They had guns. They were well funded, at least seemingly, from what we see in those images. And that leaves and raises a lot of questions. Where's the money coming from?
See, one of the recovery was the M4 rifle, the American rifle, which they left in Afghanistan, which we were suspecting Musa was using. And the other two weapons were AK-47 and 17 grenades. Look at the as you said, they were prepared for a long haul. This Mahadev mountain and this forest area is very close to Srinagar, and another aspect could be they were probably the Amarnath Yatra, the Baltal route, the Yatra also crosses Srinagar, and could be this group was looking for another attack on the Amarnath Yatra, because it's not very far off. Dachigam is not very far off from the route of Baltal. So I think these people were both hiding and looking for another opportunity for another big attack on Amarnath Yatra. But luckily, before they could do any damage, they have been eliminated. And I think what Pakistan and everyone was asking, where is the link? Where is Pakistan's linkage with Pahalgam? I think all these three Pakistanis, this link, it gets established. Even our opposition, I'm sorry, our former Home Minister, Mr. P. Chidambaram, I was disgusted with his statement yesterday. He said, how are you linking Pakistan with Pahalgam? Here is the answer. And a person who had held Home Minister's post should not be speaking like this. He knew very well how Pakistan is behind Pahalgam. And I think this is the answer. The security forces have proved it today.
Well, this has certainly taken a political turn. In fact, I am going to cut across to what happened in the parliament today. Let me, Mr. Jain, do stay with us. I will bring you in on our parliament debate, a fierce one that panned out. And let's shift our focus right there from Kashmir to the capital, the parliament, that witnessed a high-voltage debate today on Operation Sindoor, India's swift military response to Pahalgam terror attack that killed 26 civilians. Finally, the much-awaited, much-talked-about and much-requested parliament debate happened today. If I could take you through all the visuals that came in right from the start of the parliament. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh today addressed the Lok Sabha, revealing that the Indian Armed Forces struck 9 terror launch pads across Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Over 100 terrorists, handlers and facilitators were targeted in the precision strikes, and that discussion finally happened with the government answering and more inside the parliament to multiple questions raised by the opposition on Pahalgam terror strikes and Operation Sindoor. Let's listen in first of all, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh.
Operation Sindoor का ओवरऑल पॉलिटिको मिलिट्री ऑब्जेक्टिव यह था कि आतंकवाद के रूप में प्रॉक्सी वार लड़ रहे पाकिस्तान को सजा दी जाए, और इसी वजह से आर्म फोर्सेस को पूरी आजादी दी गई थी कि वे अपने टारगेट खुद चुनें और करारा जवाब दें। और इस ऑपरेशन का उद्देश्य कोई भी युद्ध छेड़ना नहीं था, बल्कि फोर्स के डिमॉन्स्ट्रेटिव यूज से एडवर्सरी को झुकने के लिए मजबूर करना था। कभी कभी हमारे प्रतिपक्ष के लोग ये पूछते रहे हैं कि हमारे कितने विमान गिरे। मुझे लगता है उनका यह प्रश्न हमारी राष्ट्रीय जनभावनाओं का सही से प्रतिनिधित्व नहीं कर रहा है। मुझे लगता है उन्होंने एक बार भी हमसे यह नहीं पूछा कि हमारी सेनाओं ने दुश्मन के कितने विमान मार गिराए। यदि उन्हें प्रश्न पूछना ही है अध्यक्ष महोदय, तो उनका प्रश्न यह होना चाहिए, क्या भारत ने आतंकवादी ठिकानों को तबाह किया? तो उसका उत्तर है हाँ।
And then you had, of course, Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar himself, who gave a detailed timeline of the diplomatic and military actions that India took all the way from May 7th to May 10th as part of Operation Sindoor. Let's listen in.
Today, when I hear many questions from across the aisle, I want to say, which one of you imagined that Bhavalpur and Muridke would be brought down the way it was? Which one of you thought it? When did you even think of it during your tenure? Did it even cross your mind? In fact, on the contrary, you ruled it out after 26/11. So I think our objectives are very clear. We wanted to send a message to the terrorists. We wanted to send a message to Pakistan that do not continue this support for terrorism. And I think on the morning of 7th of May, that message went home loud and clear. Our task from a diplomatic perspective, from a foreign policy approach, was to shape the global understanding of the Pahalgam attack. What we tried to do was to bring out to the international community Pakistan's long-standing use of cross-border terrorism. We highlighted the history of terrorism in Pakistan and how this particular attack was meant to target the economy of Jammu and Kashmir and to sow communal discord among the people of India.
All right, now, even as the government detailed Operation Sindoor in the parliament, the opposition had remained unsatisfied right from the start. They, in fact, demanded a full debate, asking tough questions. One of them was, why wasn't Pahalgam protected in the first place? If it was a vulnerable site, tourist site, yes, but it was vulnerable. There have been terror attacks in the past. Then why was there no protection? Why were there no security arranged right around that area at a time when there was high tourist traffic? Congress's Gaurav Gogoi questioned how Pakistani terrorists managed to so easily slip in through that area, carry out such a brutal terror attack and walk out. Was it an intelligence lapse? Did our forces miss key signs? Questions asked.
आज मैं ये जानना चाहता हूं कि पिछले 20 वर्ष में सबसे घातक आक्रमण हमारे महिलाओं पर हुआ, हमारे बच्चों पर हुआ, भारत के आत्मा पर हुई। हमने सबने वो दहशत को अनुभव किया। हम सब एकजुट हुए। हमने पूरी तरीके से समर्थन प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी को दी कि अब जाइए, और ऐसा एक माहौल बन चुका था कि देश किसी भी कीमत चुकाने के लिए तैयार था। पूरा देश प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के साथ था, विपक्ष प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के साथ था, और अचानक 10 मई के दिन पे हमारे राष्ट्रदूत कहते हैं कि हम पाकिस्तान पर हमला करेंगे, और शाम के 10 मई को सूचना आती है कि पाकिस्तान के साथ अब युद्ध पर हम परिणाम दे रहे हैं। सीज फायर हो गया। क्यों हुआ? हम आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी से जानना चाहते थे, अगर पाकिस्तान वाकई में अपने घुटने टिकने के लिए तैयार था तो आपने क्यों रुका? आप क्यों रुके और किसके सामने आप झुके? किसके सामने आपने सरेंडर किया? किसके सामने आपने सरेंडर किया? ये अब भी कह रहे हैं कि ऑपरेशन सिंदूर कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ, अधूरा है, क्योंकि कल को जाके दोबारा पाकिस्तान कर सकता है। ये खुद कह रहे हैं, ये खुद कह रहे हैं, ये खुद कह रहे हैं कि इसके पश्चात भी पाकिस्तान कल को जाके कर सकता है। तो ये कैसा, ये जो सफल कैसे हुआ? फिर क्या सफल हुआ? आज ये खुद कह रहे हैं कि हमारा मकसद युद्ध का नहीं था। हम पूछना चाहते क्यों नहीं था, होना चाहिए था। आज उन्होंने खुद कहा कि हमारा मकसद जमीन लेने का नहीं था। क्यों नहीं था? पाकिस्तान ऑक्यूपाइड कश्मीर अगर आज नहीं लेंगे तो कब लेंगे?
Why once you have not posted in the ex-handle post? No, you are incorrect, Mr. President, American President. What you have said, you are incorrect. You could not said, you could not show your courage to that extent. The moment you stand in front of the American president, your height is reduced to 5 foot and your chest is reduced to 36 inch from 56 inch. Why you are so much afraid?
All right, there you have it. The opposition asking some tough questions. Let me bring in the political experts here to unpack the opposition's concerns. Savio, if you're with us. Coming to you, all right, Savio, we had to get his connection back. Nikhil, your take on the secrecy around Operation Sindoor, the opposition itself raising several questions, asking why was this, why was this secrecy needed? Why were we not in the loop? Do you believe this secrecy was really justified? Or was this debate necessary and has happened too late? The opposition has been demanding for a special session of the parliament, never happened. Either way, it's been scheduled for the monsoon session as was expected.
So, Nabila, first of all, I want to respond to a point that was made earlier about Mr. Chidambaram's statement. Let me tell you viewers, that that statement was widely misreported in the media. It was a 39-minute interview with the Queen 2 days ago. A single sentence has been picked up as if to say that Mr. Chidambaram, the former Home Minister, is giving some sort of a clean chit to Pakistan. That is absolutely what he is not saying. He said that why has the NIA not investigated and found out if these individuals concerned, involved in the terror attack, the terrorists, were they homegrown, in the sense that was Pakistan and ISI cultivating these individuals from Indian soil, or were they cross-border terrorists? And that is necessary in order to understand what should be our strategy moving forward. How can Pakistan, ISI, and other actors be radicalizing our own youth against our own country? That was the statement. Secondly, on the defense minister's statement and the question that you raised, that why is so much secrecy around Operation Sindoor, and that is a concern of the opposition. Frankly, I believe that the concern of the opposition is slightly different. I think it is a concern over the lack of accountability and the lack of courage that is shown on the part of the government. To place it in a simple example, I'll put it in context the statement given by the defense minister on the floor of the House today. He says that the opposition is asking us for losses. Have they ever asked the losses that were incurred to the other side? In saying all of that, he did not ever admit or deny that there were any losses. We all know there were, because the CDS, Anil Chauhan, has come out and said that clearly. CDMO gave a similar, DGMO gave a similar statement. Deputy Chief of the Army gave a similar statement. And all these men and women in uniform understand one thing, that in combat, losses are a part of the game. You have to bear them. It is all right. It does not put a country or a force down if you admit that there are losses. The reason that you need to look at the losses is so as to understand what went wrong in your strategy and how to rectify it and do a better job the next time, which is exactly what our forces did, as per CDS Anil Chauhan. That, and also corroborating with what Captain Shiv Kumar, who is the defense attaché in the Indian embassy at Indonesia, said, that on the first day of the operations or during the initial part, there were political compulsions where the political leaders had told them not to attack any army air forces or army air force bases or air defense systems of the Pakistani army while we were crossing, our jets were crossing into the territory of Pakistan. That was a mistake they realized, which is why they started hitting military targets as well. This is why we need to know the numbers. And what is the problem? In 1971,
okay, you're saying what's the problem? You're bound to know. But Mr. Datta, how common or uncommon is it for the military or the government to share active military operations, ceasefire details as and when it happens?
Nabila, when military operation is going on against the enemy, we will not like to let the enemy know whether what we have done, how we're going to do it, whether we suffered any losses or not. That has got a severe implication as far as the morale of the troops is concerned, or the enemy getting input which he can't otherwise get, and he's sending his own people to probe the government. Batao kitne marege. Bullshit. During a war, we never let the enemy know our losses. Yeah, once the operation is over, when it is analyzed deliberately, then yes, a report will come out by the government that what was the overall planning, what happened, did we suffer anything, and what did we achieve finally. Sindoor is not yet been put off. It has just been given a pause. So therefore, this is a wrong time to ask any question. As far as we are concerned, we achieved our goals. We hit the enemy where it was required to be hit. We punished him severely. We hit his 9 terrorist target. We almost destroyed his 11 airfields and made them inoperable. Now, whether we lost 1 aircraft, 2 aircraft, we didn't lose anything, it is immaterial. Why should I tell the enemy what I've lost? Let him keep guessing. Yeah, I should say how much I have achieved. What is my success in the battle? How many aircraft I shot down? How many Pakistani missiles were gunned down? How many systems of the anti-air systems were destroyed by us? How many Chinese drones were destroyed? Turkish drones were destroyed? I don't have to tell him what did I lose. No, not now. We'll tell them. We'll take out a white paper when the time comes. It is never done. Ask the Israelis. Do the Israeli parliament, in the parliament, the opposition asks, what are the losses?
But Sir, Mr. Datta, at the same time, there has been no confirmation from the government army or the army about the kind of losses we've had, if there were any fighter jets that were gunned down.
How many losses did we have during Kargil? We lost almost more than 500 soldiers, officers, Jesus and men. Everybody knows, but we pushed the Pakistanis out of Kargil, and they suffered more than us. So now the thing is that when you go into combat,
But shouldn't it be listed
you are
out,
definitely going to
clear
suffer
for the
losses.
nation to know what it is?
No, not now. Later.
Okay.
This is not the time. Why should I let the Pakis know what happened to us? No way. Let them keep guessing. We
Nikhil,
never tell the enemy what's
Nikhil,
happening in
why
our
do
side.
you
Has
give
he got
away?
any proof? Has
Why
he
do
been
you
able
give
to give
away any
photograph?
information to
Was
your
he able to
enemies?
recover any
I mean,
debris
the
anywhere?
opposition can wait.
So we
The
didn't lose
enemies
anything.
need
As
not
far as
know
the
what you
enemy is
have and what
concerned.
you don't, because it's officially Operation Sindoor is still on. If you really look at the government's narrative and the army, they've said Operation Sindoor is not over. It's on standby because you can't trust the enemy nation
No
yet.
opposition or
Right?
anybody in the
So,
parliament should ask
what's
or
the
give
hurry
out
here?
any losses about our own country. Never. It
Right.
should not become a take
What's
for
the
the
hurry here?
Pakistani media.
And what's your
Never.
view? What's your view on Operation Mahadev? If we can show our the images of Operation Mahadev yet again, this was really satisfying. What we saw. I know this may sound
Yes, Nabila.
voyeuristic, but from what I see on my
Special
screens
Forces.
here, this is what India.
Yeah.
This is how India has avenged Pahalgam terror strikes. Nikhil, Operation Mahadev on the day you're discussing Operation Sindoor.
First of all, Nabila, let me answer the question that you raised, and another important point for your viewers to know. In today's era of satellite surveillance, it is everybody in the world, every major power in the world knows which country loses how many aircrafts. It is not a secret. And of course, if we have lost jets, which our army has actually admitted to, nobody knows the number. The numbers have not been confirmed, but we have lost one or two or three or four, whatever the number is. We've lost a certain number of fighter jets. Now, if we had a conflict with Pakistan, Pakistan obviously knows how many aircrafts have been, how many Indian aircrafts have been down. So it's not like we'll be giving any edge to the enemy. The enemy knows. Enemy is the one who caused the losses, right? So far as US, UK, and other of these major powers and China and these major powers of the world are concerned, all of them know how many jets were actually down of India and of Pakistan. So that's not something giving away an edge. So far as numbers being disclosed is concerned, numbers were disclosed of the men that were lost, of the equipment that was lost after the 1971 war under a Congress government and a 1999 Kargil war after a BJP government. Mind you, both these wars were against Pakistan. Both these wars were military successes, as is Operation Sindoor. So far as the government saying that the Operation Sindoor is still carrying on, I'm sorry, but that is absolutely ridiculous. That is where the government is putting narrative over national security. When you have a limited military conflict with a limited objective, which limited objective has been met. Now, these are government's own words. These are not my words. When the objectives have been met, when the hostilities are not continuing, and neither from us, neither from the Pakistani side, how do you say the operation is going on? You ask the BJP spokespersons or the ministers what has happened
So
to Operation Sindoor.
today what
They
we
will
saw
say
in the
there is a
parliament, some
cessation of
parliament
fire.
shots, please.
As
Can
if-
we have some parliament shots? The opposition
Can I
hardly
please-
allowed the government to speak. You know, you should allow some breathing space. You should allow the government to speak. But that, you know, that the cacophony really drowns the actual messaging.
I really hope that our parliamentarians did a better job at what they did, both from the treasury benches and the opposition benches, and actually discussed the issues that mattered to the people of the country. Problem is, what I'm seeing from the treasury benches right now, and also a response from the opposition likewise, that you are not taking responsibility. The parliament's primary job in a Westminster system is to hold the government to account, is for the government to answer the difficult questions. Instead of answering the difficult questions, what the government is doing right now is saying, oh, why are you asking these questions? Why are you asking how many losses we suffered? Why don't you ask us how much losses we gave to Pakistan? For that, we have a PR department. We don't need the parliament for that. We need the parliament to ask the government what went wrong. Why did you tie our forces' hand? Why did you tell our air force to cross the international border, get into another sovereign country's territory, attack, but not attack their air defense systems? That is what caused the losses. That is what needs to be rectified. That is what was rectified. These are the questions that needed to be raised in the parliament. But instead of that, what the government wanted was an absolute show of psychopathy. And on Operation Mahadev, fabulous job our forces have done. I'm sure the many men and women must have put a lot of hard work. They put their lives on the line, and they kill these militants and terrorists. Perfect. But the important question that now arises, and that's for the government and not for the forces to answer, that only one of the three terrorists who were gunned down is associated with Operation Sindoor. what about the other terrorists? And the travesty of it
Expecting
all
more
is today
discussions?
we don't even know how many
Even
terrorists were
one
actually there.
terrorist
There is no
gunned down
government.
associated with
One was gunned down.
well, that's
One.
also a big
There
deal.
were three or
If that
four
one
or
man is a
five. There were
mastermind, and that man Musa happens to be a commander himself, he's
No, that
well
is the victory
equipped.
for the forces. No denying that. Victory for the forces, no denying that. But what about the other perpetrators? And it is
So give
unfortunate that
credit
I
where
don't
it's
even know
due.
what the number of
Give credit where
perpetrators are.
it's due. You give
Absolutely, I'm
credit where
giving
it's
credit to the
due.
forces. I'm giving credit to the forces. I'm not going to give any credit to the government because this government's follies are the reason why the Pahalgam terror attack happened in the first
How would
place.
you
I
look?
did not
How
want
would you
some
look?
terrorists
What?
to
How
come
would
and
you
kill
view
our
the
people and then we
timing of
kill themselves.
Operation Mahadev? How would you really view the timing of Operation Mahadev on
I
the
am
day you
not
have
going.
discussed Operation Sindoor?
I don't want to make any comments on that. Your viewers are free to draw their own conclusions. I am not going to make a comment on that. What I'm more concerned about is the fact that one of the 3 or 4 or 5 terrorists has been gunned down after 4 months. What about the others? What
Okay.
and why did the attack happen in the first place? Why are we only talking about Operation Sindoor and not about the Pahalgam terror attack? Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Manoj Sinha, who handles the security setup there, has admitted that there have been lapses. But when did he admit that? 2 days before the parliament session started, so that people don't ask questions of the home minister or the prime minister. And if he admits that something so dastardly and so incompetent happened under his watch, why has he not resigned? Have any heads rolled?